I'm gonna take my horse down the Town Road.
And we got copyrighted first 5 seconds going live. Kenny, I have to let you know, sir, we are live.
They're taking our money.
Not on recording though, just live stream. No, what's taking my money is doing pack openings online.
Getting copyrighted because we're monetized.
Definitely monetized. Definitely big time people. But yeah, Kenny, I don't know if I ever showed you this. While we're on the live, I figured I'd go get a couple of my favorite little cards I got. Got a little stash over here.
Professional card flipper. Ooh.
It's just something slight, Got to have about $30. This is one of my favorites.
Joey.
It's a rookie. See that rookie logo? Right in the corner? That rookie logo right by my middle finger?
Yeah, boy.
This in my grading stack. I don't think it's going to grade a 10 because it's kind of... Oh, yeah, I bought this one.
That's pretty sick.
Adesanya.
Is he?
Yeah, I told you I got my Najee collection going. Got a little rated rookie Najee action.
Oh, yeah?
Got a little rated rookie LaMelo Ball action,
Ooh.
Got a couple guys. Got my numbered to 99 green Topps tribute Ronnie.
That is sick.
Everybody gotta have that silver wide rookie.
Silver wide.
Hey. Two best white boys of 2021.
Tell you, hey.
2022, 2023. Hero and Burrow. We rocking. I got something. A couple things that's pretty slight. Little My House. Trayon.
Don't forget about Red Velvet.
Yes. And then the not so popular. See the auto right there? You see the auto?
Oh, yeah.
That dance. We got dance. Damn, my camera clear as hell when I get close with it.
It is very clear.
The webcam be showing it pretty good, don't it? Damn, I need to be doing case breaks.
You do?
I got a couple other things here, but it's not really cool. I don't know if you care about a Josh Jackson rookie auto patch.
You got the patch in there, though.
We got the patch. We do it real big. I don't have anything else cool over here. So we're showing my butt to the camera.
Oh boy, a pack sniper.
Oh yeah, I can show you this. This is what I was going to show you the other day.
Oh yeah, that's a see-through.
Yeah, I told you I had a Cooper Cup see-through from. This is from 2019 Illusion.
I didn't know it was a see-through. Mm-hmm. That's sick.
I was going through my cards. I had some pretty cool ones, like a little Deontay Johnson rookie card action. You already know. See, this is what we do early on the pod. A little green Hunter Renfrow rookie.
Future Falcon.
True. Now I ain't show my best one.
Ooh. Bronco Flacco?
I ain't. It's just something slight, Got a Josh Allen rookie. Not the one that's worth money, though.
Oh.
Not the one that's worth any money.
The other Josh Allen?
I got the GOAT. Oh yeah. Oh, wait. I showed the wrong card. My bad. Oh, yeah, my bad.
Excuse me.
You got something slight. I'll trade you this right here, Kenny. I'll trade you this one. I know there's something you'd be interested in. Little Texas Tech Michael Crabtree action, baby. Crabtree was a dog at Texas Tech now.
Oh, boy.
Don't make me pull out that 2010 Topps tribute Tony White.
Tony Womo.
Tony Womo. I don't my cards. I'm sorry.
Don't make me trade you the custom.
Oh, that boy got that custom?
Custom Rich Froning, CrossFit Games champion.
Damn, where you pull that from?
The male.
Damn, what card set was that? I don't know. Was that Illusion? Was that 2020 Illusion?
It was.
We got that 2020 Illusion. Go. All right. That was fun.
Nice little kicker offer.
Nice little kicker off. You know, you gotta go through the sports cards a little bit.
Got a nice little Weiger Tuds.
Nice little Weiger Tooth, a little nice collectible right there. Nice little pop figure. Now I got some over here. I got look. You really can't see him too well on camera, but there's Weiger Toods right there, next to a Gremlin.
Weiger Tuds.
And there's Stetson Bennett.
Goat.
Hey, hold up. And there's Trae Young. And there's
And they're
Ronnie.
right on.
And can you guess who that is?
I know who that is. I've been in your house.
That Roddy White.
That Rod.
And that's a full signed bold and brave Baseball America by every Brave prospect on there.
And that Ronald.
We love Ronald on this podcast.
We sure do.
Well, I'm ready when you are, Mr. Kenny.
I'm ready, man. I'm just munching on these sunflower seeds.
All right, we got something, a little kickback today. A little kickback, nothing crazy.
Yeah, it's a little chill episode.
I ain't got nothing planned, so.
Let go.
All right.
33?
33, yes, sir.
Little double Dale?
Little double Dale action. We love double Dales.
I'm ready.
In 3, 2, 1. We are live.
Welcome in, everyone, to episode 33 of the Peach State Tailgate Sports Podcast. I'm Kenny Cochran, joined by my co-host, Mr. Jake Hewell.
Oh, yeah.
It's good to be back. Little fumble there, a little vocal fumble. Excuse me.
Hey, it happens.
It's good to be back. A little off week last week, but we're back. Not too much going on in the sports world. We did a little Braves breakdown last time. Talked about some off-season acquisitions, some little moves that were made, and today's episode it's gonna be a little bit more low-key, a little bit more kicked back. Just kind of sit back, talk about what has transpired over the last couple months. Really, I know we got some transfer portal stuff to talk about. Obviously, it's Super Bowl rounded up next week. We got the Pro Bowl this weekend. We'll talk about NFL playoffs, conference championship week last week. Obviously, a ton of coaching hires just went through, so we'll kind of give our opinions, a little grading action, if you will, on that. We might even get a little inside information, sports card trading from Mr. Jake Hewell over here because he is a professional sports card trader.
We're hot right now, baby. Actually, we're not. But hey,
it was a good night.
You either hot or you do, and we're kind of hot. You know, we pulled a little PSA 9, a little Kawhi Leonard out of one of our packs, so we're feeling good. Me and Kenny are about to become the biggest sports card people in the world. I actually watched a 20-minute video. I'm sorry to interrupt your introduction, by the way, Kenny. It was
I'm
great.
done.
But
I'm done.
Before we really get into things, I wanted to say, I watched a little 20-minute video the other day. It was actually last night, and it was about a guy that has made his whole living basically buying, flipping sports cards. And the thing that really intrigued me is at the beginning they're sitting in a basketball court. It looks like a an NBA practice gym. And the first thing this guy says that's interviewing the other guy, he says, "Hey man, this must be a dream to have your own basketball court." And it made me realize, oh, this is this guy's house.
Whoa.
And then this man had 60 to 100 86 Fleer Michael Jordan rookie cards. And if you're anything in the sports card world, you will understand that is a very, 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 very sought after expensive card. Quite a big collection of Jackie Robinson rookie cards graded. This guy was loaded already, and he probably had millions worth of assets in his house. So it was pretty cool to see that. And yeah, we're about to become that. This podcast is going to get pretty big. You see Stetson Bennett and Ronald right here. Maybe a month from now we might have Babe Ruth and I don't know, Tom Brady up on the wall. It'll be big time.
Shout out that guy.
Never called his name. So hey, shout out him.
Never called his name, but he is. But he's a legend.
People just refer to him as him. Is what I heard.
we just call him Sir.
He is him. I figured I'd give y'all a little story, a little breakdown. That did not inspire me to start buying sports cards. I've been doing it pretty much my whole life. It's just, as you get older, you get a little bit more access to a little bit more funds, and you get access to a little bit more funds. Sometimes it's nice to touch back to that childhood feeling you used to have, and that's kind of the theme I'm kind of rolling in right now, pretty heavy. So it's been fun. I've been enjoying it.
Everybody wants to say mo money, mo problems. We like to say mo money, mo football cards.
Exactly. Next podcast before we go live, I'm gonna show up my new ones. It's gonna be awesome.
There you go. We got wait on them to come in the mail. Got some bangers, some heaters.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. We got some heat. I'm also gonna wear my new clothing edition that I already told you about next podcast. Next podcast, we're gonna throw it on.
That is for sure heat. I've seen the pictures.
Yeah, and then next time we're also gonna get this frame thing fixed. It's happening again. We're not gonna pause it. Sorry you guys can't see our face. Audio should still be just fine though on the YouTube side of things. Y'all can see us. We're probably just frozen in some stupid look. So we'll get it fixed next go around. Promise. Last time I tried to fix it, we recorded for 20 minutes, and then I tried to end the stream, and it ended my recording too, and I'm not about to do that. So podcast people, y'all are hearing everything right now. Hearing all the problems. We said it's going to be a kickback episode. That's exactly what it's going to be.
It is, and it really is a kickback episode. I mean, we've had so much to talk about between Georgia football and, excuse me, I'm munching on these delicious ranch sunflower seeds that my grandmother gave me for Christmas in my stocking that I lost in the bottom of my pantry. Thankfully, my beautiful wife decided to save them in a grocery bag, and now I am just going to town on these suckers right now. But we've had so much to talk about, Jake, between Georgia football, rounding out the NFL season with the Falcons. We had a lot of Braves stuff going on. Last episode was really the first the big Braves episode that we've had in forever. And it's because everything else is kind of ramping down. Well, I mean, breaking news, not that much going on in the baseball world right now. We're like, a month out from spring training or whatever. So right now, we're really just kind of in that gray area between NFL postseason and Super Bowl. We just had, obviously, the conference championship week. I think the last episode we had just talked about wild card weekend, I believe, if I'm correct. I can't remember exactly, but yeah. So, a couple things to talk about in the NFL, but for the most part, dude, this is kind of a different style episode, more low key, not too much of an agenda to follow. Just kind of fly by the seat of your pants and talk some football. And honestly, this is really, I feel like, one of the best episodes come about.
Yeah. This is where the fun really happens, and I do have a little bit of Braves I'm gonna talk about. Kenny, nothing I expect any reaction from. Just touching bases on things we have kind of figured out. First thing I want to mention is Ronald Acuna has been playing in the Venezuelan Baseball League. He is no longer playing right now. He had officially retired from the Venezuelan Baseball League. From his Instagram, that's what he said. And he was hitting taters, and he had probably one of the greatest home run celebrations you will ever see in any baseball league. So if you have not quite seen that video yet, guys, go to Twitter, go to YouTube, go find it. It is amazing, and I know there's a lot of old heads out there, no offense, old heads, that do not like that in baseball. But I saw Marcus Stroman actually put something out on Twitter commenting on it. I think he kind of said it best. And I don't have the tweet in front of me. I don't know quote by quote, but he basically said, you do something big time in a game, you deserve to show it off, and that's really what baseball needs right now. And to see a pitcher say something like that, we all know Marcus Stroman's a guy that's not really scared to say what he thinks, but it was really cool to see him kind of reach out, because Ronald was kind of getting a little bit of hate on social media. But to be fair, I think the love he was getting from that was much outweighing the hate he was getting from that.
Well, in my opinion, anytime you are mashing more taters than a Cracker Barrel chef, you should be able to celebrate that as much as you want. When you're Ronald, I mean, this guy, he's not playing in Game 7 of the World Series. He's not out there on the biggest stage where he's playing in Venezuela. Let the dude celebrate. He just hit a 795-foot bomb that landed in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. Just let him enjoy it. Let him have his moment.
Exactly. I agree 100%. And just like second news things I'm gonna throw out here. The Braves did invite 26 non-roster invitees to spring training. It is kind of intriguing. This kind of stuff is interesting because these are guys you'll see. Spring training is kind of a weird moment though, because see guys play, a lot of things don't really matter too much. But I'll go ahead and go through the names right here. It was 11 pitchers. Right-handed pitcher Blake Burkhalter. Right-handed pitcher Jesse Chavez, obviously a notable name right there we love to see. left-handed pitcher Dylan Dodd, who I believe ranks somewhere. I have Dylan Dodd does not rank in our top 30 in prospects. Left-handed pitcher Brian Moran, right-handed pitcher Roel Ramirez, right-handed pitcher Alan Rangel, or Rangel, let me pronounce that right. Right-handed pitcher Yaxel Rios, left-handed pitcher Jared Schuster, obviously our number one prospect in the organization, so that's pretty notable. Right-handed pitcher Victor Vodnik, who I believe is number 7 in the organization, which is also pretty notable. Right-handed pitcher Brooks Wilson, and left-handed pitcher Danny Young. We have 4 catchers coming. Drake Baldwin, who I believe was a draftee in this most recent draft. He's a 21-year-old catcher. He's our 17th ranked prospect. Big-time power bat coming out of college, so pretty excited to see him get some action. Ryan Castile, Joe Hudson, and Tyler Tolvey. Infielders, we had 6 of those. Ari Adrianza, former Brave legend, fan favorite type guy. Cal Conley, another top-tier prospect in the Braves organization, number 9 by MLB Pipeline. Joe Dunand, Adeiny Hechavarria. And this is some news right here, I will say, that slipped a lot of sources. And I did not see it till, I never really even saw any, thing official saying that we signed him. I just saw on social media people were saying we signed him. This dude will bat flip on singles. We love Adeiny Hechavarria. He was a part of that, Billy Hamilton team that kind of had a bunch of, scrappy guys that were really, really fun to watch. So, just seeing him get a chance at spring training is going to be fun. I don't know if he's going to be on the Major League roster, if he's still going to be a Brave by the time the regular season starts. But, hey, we'll take as much hedge as we can, man. Big time fan favorite around here.
Noted Mets hater.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome back to the squad. Love that interview of him on the sidelines or on the right outside the dugout, talking about how he wanted to thank the Braves organization for saving him from the New York Mets.
Yes. We saved a lot of things, especially the NL East title from the New York Mets. So, that's just kind of what Braves do. Infielder Yolmer Sanchez and Luke Waddell. Luke Waddell, he might be somewhere in here. Luke Waddell does not. Tyler Tolvey actually is also a top 25 prospect. I don't see Luke Waddell anywhere. Thought he might be in there. Outfielders, Justin Dean, Cody Milligan, Kevin Pillar, another notable name that we discussed a little bit on last podcast, I believe. Magnier Sierra, former Major League guy, and Forrest Wall. So, we have a load of guys coming to spring training. This stuff really does not mean a damn thing. Schuster is going to be there. Guys like, Cal Conley and Drake Baldwin, guys that we mentioned that are, pretty high-end prospects, in our opinion, at least, with the Braves' pedigree of prospects. We don't really have the most talent in the minor league. So, we have some of these guys, but none of these guys are probably going to be on the Major League roster. You might get lucky and get 1 or 2 of them, like a Pilar or a, Hechavarria or a Adrianza or Jesse Chavez. But a lot of these names you see on here are not really going to crack that roster. This is more just an idea of what we got with them. Some of these guys will probably be cut, before spring training ends, just not even be in the minor league. So just something to keep your mind on. You'll be able to watch these guys in spring training. You don't get too many televised games, but whenever you do get that one televised game at 12:10, p.m. on a Wednesday afternoon when you're at work, and you're probably going to miss it, just know you're missing Adeiny Hechavarria facing Matt Wisler in a 7th inning spring training game down in Florida. So don't be missing too much.
Well said.
But yeah, that's really it for Braves, guys. I did go to FanFest. If there's any of you Braves fans out there at FanFest, hopefully I saw you. Hopefully you had a great time. The yard sale was fire. Got all my yard sale stuff right here. It was very dope to be there. Blooper is amazing. I'm going to say that now. Blooper is probably the funniest thing to me in the world. And I'm going to give a shout out to my girlfriend right here. Madison loves Blooper more than anything for some reason. She will just point at Blooper and just laugh the whole time. Yeah, he is doing something kind of funny. I don't know if it's that funny though. He just kind of standing around. But Kenny knows Madison, so he knows it's funny. But yeah, it's true. It is true. But yeah, we had a great time. So if anybody was out there, hopefully you got to enjoy it. All the guys were there. I got to shake Tyler Matzek's hand. I went up to him, shook his hand personally, said thank you, sir, for your service from what he did. In that postseason run. We love Tyler, postseason hero, and yeah, it was a good time. So hopefully you made it. Hopefully you had a good time. Luke Waddell is the Braves' 20th ranked prospect. I'm wrong. He is in the top 25. So
20th ranked prospect, number 1 in our hearts.
Number 1 in our hearts. Thank you, Luke Waddell.
Thank you, Waddy.
Waddy. Kenny, I'm gonna pass the torch.
What do you want to hop into first? You want to talk some transfer portal? You want to talk some NFL coaching hires? You want to talk playoff football? Where are we headed, Jake?
Transfer portal, coaching hires, playoff football, Super Bowl.
Oh, let's get it. Well, obviously, if you're a fan of college football, you kind of know what's been coming past couple of years with the transfer portal. We now have college football free agency. It's pretty much what we have right here. Um, Obviously, you get the big splash hires like the Deion Sanders going to Colorado. That changes a lot of things, brings a lot of juice, brings a lot of energy, and obviously he's going to flip guys like his son Shadur Sanders, who is a, I want to say 4-star quarterback recruit, offered by everybody, including Georgia and Bama. And the number one recruit in the country, Travis Hunter, who's a 99 grade on 24/7 right now as a transfer, bringing him from Jackson State to Colorado. So you have the big obvious ones too, like those guys. And but look, we kind of wanted to take a dive and look at what we thought were some pretty notable transfers, some pretty notable destinations for these guys, and not necessarily give a grade on them, but just kind of give our general opinion. So what I've got right here is the 247 Sports rankings right in front of me. I was going to kind of rip through these, Jake. I don't know if you want to do something similar. Something pops out at you, you holler at it.
No, go ahead, man. Go ahead and rip through them. I'll interrupt when I have to.
Well, I guess we already mentioned Travis Hunter. He is by far the number one recruit or the number one graded transfer in the transfer portal, number one recruit in the country, one of the highest recruited players of all time coming out of high school. But I say we hop on down to number 5. We have Sam Hartman, Mr. Sam Hartman, the Wake Forest quarterback, guy who has been absolutely torching ACC teams for years and years, is transferring to Notre Dame. This is a pretty unique one for me, for Notre Dame, because you talk about Notre Dame and the esteemed program that it is, and I know they're severely overhyped. We talk about this every year. They come in, give them a playoff spot, and they get stomped by Bama by 35. But one thing that I feel like Notre Dame's been missing for a little bit is a gunslinger quarterback. I know they had the Brock Purdy, or not Brock Purdy. What's his name? Ian Book.
Mm-hmm.
When Ian Book was down there. But since Ian Book, it just kind of feels like it's been kind of a carousel effect down there at Notre Dame. And if they can hold on to some of those players that they've had, I mean, they really started to pick up some steam towards the end of the year. And now you're getting a stud quarterback in Sam Hartman. We know Sam Hartman, he's kind of a dog. He's a guy that'll get down and dirty and do what it takes to win a game. But for the most part, dude likes to stand back there and let that thing ride. So curious to see how they handle that.
I'm gonna interrupt on that one if you're done with that.
Go ahead.
Yeah, Notre Dame is a very, very interesting destination because this was a team at the beginning of the season. It looked pretty bad, and as the season went on, they, like you said, they did pick up a lot of heat. They had a big win against Clemson, and a lot of that was due to Drew Pine taking over that quarterback spot. Drew Pine, was very, very successful at Notre Dame this past year, and he looked really, really good. A guy that you thought the Notre Dame program would look to build around, and as soon as this portal opens up, I don't know if we've talked about this or not. Can't remember, but Drew Pine, decides to enter the portal and take his talents down to Arizona State. That leaves Notre Dame without a quarterback. And just so happens that the top quarterback rated in this transfer portal by 24/7 Sports decides to take his talents to Notre Dame. And you're completely right about this, Kenny. This is, we may say they're overrated, which I do believe that, but this is a very, very high level program. This is, a consensus, top 10 popularity program that you'll be able to get people will be watching you. I don't know how everybody feels, but Notre Dame is, to me, is like one of those teams that's near the Clemson tier of okay, they're playing a game this weekend against a good team. I'm probably going to tune into it, right? So
absolutely.
I am excited to see what Hartman could do. Hartman is an absolute gunslinger, a guy that was a little bit down last year, and going into last season, we are looking at him as being a top 5 quarterback prospect going to this NFL draft. Well, he's going back to college for one more year, going to Notre Dame, has some good talent around him, and let's see what he can build off of, man. This guy has a ton of talent.
Yeah, he had the weird non-football injury
thing
or sickness thing, whatever that was. Obviously, he's healthy now, was able to play the remainder of the season. And you mentioned him, top-ranked quarterback, according to 247 Sports in the transfer portal. Well, tied with him there is Devin Leary, who is also another guy that had all the hype in the world heading into last season, including you and I. Excuse me.
Hey, it happens.
Devin Leary's a dog, dude. This is a Heisman candidate. This is a guy that came in last season with all the hype in the world around him. Dual threat guy that's got a rocket launcher arm. Pretty big dude. down there at NC State. And sorry, I'm looking right here.
You're good.
Yeah, so they have him at 94, which is dead tied with Sam Hartman. My computer is freaking out.
Hey, it happens. I'll kind of capitalize on
Yeah,
that too.
why don't you hop in here for a second?
I'll go ahead and hop in. Yeah, Devin Leary. Devin Leary is a guy. This is a guy that had a lot of like Heisman hopefuls going into last season. Obviously at NC State. Did have some injury problems last year that shut him down for the rest of the season. NC State was obviously not the same team they were the year before. And now he's looking to take his talents to the University of Kentucky. And this is a very interesting one. This is one that we kind of could spotlight really, really early on in this transfer portal type deal because this is like the number one destination everybody was saying he was going to go. I heard there was rumors all over the place saying that he was really, really close friends with Will Levis, who, obviously was Kentucky's quarterback last year, the past 3 seasons, I want to say. And this is a system to me that is very interesting because Bob Stoops, there's something about Kentucky, and I don't know what the issue is, but we're going into an NFL draft where your quarterback is a guy that teams are looking at as potentially being the number 1 overall, prospect in this draft. I've heard rumors that there's multiple teams that think that. I'm not saying that's my thought. I think that there's quarterbacks ahead of them, but and this team still was not dominant on the offensive side of the football. And you could say maybe Will Levis is more of a developmental guy for most teams in the NFL or what it is, but man, I'd have to put that a little bit on coaching right here because you would think you'd figure something out. We've seen guys like Rondell Robinson come through and, a ton of guys like Chris Rodriguez, guys that could just completely ball out. And we just haven't quite seen that offensive production come from a Kentucky team. And I don't really know if, a guy like Devin Leary is going to be able to fix that. Devin Leary is an absolute stud. He can make all the plays on the field that you have to make. But, man, that Kentucky team just has to get something on offense. And if they can't find no offense with Devin Leary, I know Chris Rodriguez is not coming back for another year. I want to say the smoke. What was that? What was the other guy's name? Cavassier Smoke. I think he actually entered the portal as well. So this is going to be a very, very interesting time period for Kentucky. They do have talent around him, which is an interesting thing. That defense is still pretty real. They have the ability to stay in a lot of ball games, which is really, really nice. And maybe Mr. Devin Leary is the guy that can take him to the next step. But I just don't really know. Kenny had to step away for a couple seconds, so I'm going to try to keep on talking about Devin Leary. I don't want to go too far without him being here. I think he was having a little bit of coughing issues. He had a little something in the chest, but hey, things happen. I'm gonna kind of step back a little bit. Actually, Kenny's back now, so we are back rolling. He had to get out of here for a minute. Kenny, I don't know if you heard what I was talking about. I was just saying that this Kentucky team is a team that it's kind of found a little bit of struggles on the offensive side of the ball in the past couple seasons, but they have the ability to maintain in a lot of games. They keep a lot of games close. This is an 8-9 win team nearly every season with Will Levis, and I'm not saying Devin Leary is a better quarterback than Will Levis, but maybe he's the guy that can kind of get them over that hump. Who knows? It's something that we'll have to find out.
No, you're absolutely right, and I agree with you. I'm super high on Devin Leary, and I don't know what happened there. My computer started freaking out, and my Google Chrome started crashing mid-choke while I was also choking on a sunflower seed and thought I was about to die. There's a lot going on at one time.
Yeah, it sounds like I almost died.
I'm back. We're good. But no, dude, Devin Leary is an absolute dog. This is the guy where I was getting at. I'm sure Jake probably hit on this. This was a Heisman candidate to start the year. Finished off a 2021 season with NC State with 3,400 yards through the air, 35 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. And not to mention, you had 2 rushing touchdowns on the ground as well with a 157 passer rating. Like, dude's an absolute animal, man. And then you bring him into an offense like Kentucky, and obviously you go to the next caliber up in the SEC play when you're playing with Kentucky, but you also get better teammates.
Yes.
And I want to say, we've been highly judgmental or questionable on Will Levis throughout this NFL draft process and, rankings throughout last year. And I'm not one that's going to sit here and say that Will Levis is the next big thing. But what I will give Will Levis a little bit of slack on is that Kentucky team was not very good this year compared to what they were the year before.
No.
The talent was way down. So you bring in a guy like Devin Leary, who And Will Levis obviously is a freak of nature. He's huge. He's got the arm. He can move, everything. But you bring in Devin Leary, and what I think it's probably going to be a little bit better Kentucky team. Kentucky was a very young team. They're going to give some guys or give guys a chance and some chances to improve throughout practice and throughout the offseason headed into next year. And then also you bring in the recruits and the transfers and everything. I expect a big breakout year for Devin Leary. And breakout, I know you take that with a grain of salt because his breakout year seemed like it was 2021, but it's just different in the SEC. I know that's cliche. It's something that we talk about all the time, but it's just the truth, man. Look at the college football playoff. Look at the end of the year rankings. Look at the bowl records. Like the SEC is just completely different. It's a different style of play here. It's physical, and you bring in a guy like Devin Leary, who is definitely a physical guy, and he's got the athletic ability to make the plays. I'm just curious to see how he holds up in the SEC. But if I had to guess, man, I think this dude's going to be solid.
Yeah, he's going to come into the SEC, probably top 5 quarterback in the SEC day one, I would think.
I agree.
Top tier guy that you definitely circle on your schedule. A guy that changes a team to me. And Will Levis is an absolute stud. Don't get me wrong. Can you still there? All right, I think he's moving now. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I lost you for a second.
Yeah. I think our connection went out for a second. We're good. I was just saying Devin Leary, he's a guy that can get you there. And Will Levis, I'm not saying anything against Will Levis, but Will Levis always kind of had like a knack for a little bit of like a turnover issue to me. And, I think that's kind of his killer at the college level. If Devin Leary can kind of clear that up, he might be a more successful quarterback at Kentucky than, Will Levis was. And not to mention, Will Levis is still a really, really young guy. Will Levis, I believe, is 22 years old going to the NFL draft right now. I think Devin Leary is older than that, I would assume. I don't have the numbers in front of me. I'm about to actually pull it up right now. Give me one. Junior. Devin Leary is 23 years old. So, yeah, Devin Leary is a little bit more experienced, a little bit more aged, dealt with a different program, so he's been around a little bit more. I think this is a guy that could really come to the SEC and make a little bit of noise.
I agree 100%. That brings us to number 7.
This is where we get excited, guys. This is where we get very, very excited.
Everybody's excited about this one, including Jake and I. We got Dominic Lovett at number 7, the Missouri wide receiver, transferring to the University of Georgia, the back-to-back, the reigning, undefeated, undisputed national champions. Dude, Dominic Lovett, absolute stud.
Absolute stud. He's a freak of nature, and I think since he played at Missouri, people have not given the recognition he deserves.
Not at all. This dude led the team in receptions, led the team in yards last year. Went 56 catches for 846, average of 15, a long of 79 and 3 touchdowns. What this dude can bring to your team in terms of big play capability is ridiculous. And if you're watching the Georgia Bulldogs every single year, like we all do, aside from the big splash plays to the Brock Bowers, to the A.D. Mitchell, to the Lad McConkey every once in a while, this is an offense that cuts its teeth on running the football, run the play action, throwing the ball, getting, a 10-yard gain, a 15-yard game, 10-yard game, 5-yard game, 8-yard game, back, and then take a shot. You go back, take a shot. Mm-hmm. It's all game long. It's every single game. But Dominic Lovett, obviously, with the transfer portal conversation, I don't want to get too ahead of myself here, but you talk about the offense and the way that the offense is changing. We are losing some guys as well. It's going to happen. It happens when you're a top program. You got, competition down there on the depth chart. So some of that deep threat ability from some of the guys on the depth chart that we're losing, we replace with Dominic Lovett. This is, according to 247, the number 1 wide receiver in the transfer portal class. By a pretty wide margin, I must add as well. So Dominic Lovett, absolute dog. Can't wait to see him actually be a dog.
Yeah, very excited about this. Georgia fans, if you remember this year, nail biter against Missouri. Guy went out there and put up 84 yards on us. Not something you see, a lot of wide receivers do against this University of Georgia defense. He is a very, very intriguing guy on your team. And I like your foreshadowing a little bit because there are guys that are going to be leaving. There are guys that we have to be replaced. And this is a guy that can come in day one and make an impact on a football team. He's going to fit very well in this system. Todd Monken, I'm assuming he's going to be back. I know there's a little bit of whirlwind going around. But he said all he wants to do is win. And guess what, guys? Tom Brady just retired. And the only job I've heard about him interviewing for is that Tampa Bay Buccaneers job. And I don't know if he's going to walk into a team that's negative 60 in cap space with Kyle Trask as the only quarterback on the roster. So I think that we are pretty safe at the moment. And just imagining what he's going to be able to drop next year with a true gunslinger back there at quarterback, I'm not quite sure who it's going to be, but I know among the guys that we have and the guys that's rumored to be, it's going to be a gunslinger. It's going to be a guy that likes to throw the pill around. So, as many weapons as we can get is kind of the motto. This Georgia team's not really a team that has made too many big splashes in the transfer portal since this thing's kind of opened up. I think the biggest ones I can think of, I guess Arik Gilbert was a big guy. Darion Kendrick from Clemson, the years he was here was, fantastic. And Tyke Smith. That's the three biggest names I can think of that we really got. But, this year is a little bit different for the Dogs. We've had a couple big ones come through. And Dominic Lovett just to start, man.
I guess, do you want to take a pause right here and talk about who we lost?
Yeah, we can go ahead and talk about who we lost.
All right. A few guys, some big contributors, some guys that we love, some fan favorites. The big one here is A.D. Mitchell. We heard the rumors for weeks, weren't really sure if anything was going to come of it. And then all of a sudden, A.D. Mitchell enters the transfer portal. He is a Texas Longhorn. This sucks. No way around it. It sucks to lose A.D. Mitchell. This dude's probably the best wide receiver in the SEC headed into this year. Most would think. He's up there at least. Top 2, top 3 guy. You talk about what this guy's been able to do in the big games. I mean, both national championships for us with the touchdown catch. He's like, 4 playoff games, 4 touchdowns?
Yep.
Yeah, just crazy. I mean, he produces under pressure. He's an amazing route runner. 6'4". He's physical. He's like George Pickens, but George Pickens didn't get to win a national championship. Or he did, but he didn't get to contribute as much. So, they're a pretty similar player, similar blueprint. It sucks to lose a guy like that, man. There's really no way to sugarcoat it. But it's the transfer portal when you got, the state of Texas throwing out NIL money like they do. You're going to lose a couple, and A.D. Mitchell's just one of them.
Yeah. Look, guys, no hate on A.D. Mitchell. Damn good dog. A lot of good work here. He will be missed by fans, but I'm going to say this. I don't think he's going to be missed very much on the football field. I do think that we're going to be just fine without him. Let's not, just think the season's over because we're losing, probably the third most talented wide receiver we've seen at the University of Georgia in our lifetime. So, and I will say that with confidence. I think A.J. Green, George Pickens, and A.D. Mitchell are the top 3 most talented wide receivers we've seen come to the University of Georgia. But yeah, man, best of luck going into Texas. Obviously, I know there's some family issues down there, and that's kind of the issue that he said was the main reason he was going out there. He's already enrolled there, so it's definitely a sure deal. Also, Quinn Ewers out there. We know he wants to sling the pill. Texas is a big market team. A lot of people like to pay attention to it. Really, really good spot for him, draft status-wise. At the University of Georgia, man, we're so deep at the wide receiver position every year. I mean, this guy, he can come back and play, 15 games at the University of Georgia next season, and he will probably still put up less numbers than Ladd McConkey. That's just how the system works. But yeah, it is very interesting, and best of luck to A.D. Mitchell out in Texas.
Absolutely. Another big one. Don Blaylock. Don Blaylock is similar to A.D. Mitchell in the fact that when you need a big play, Dom's the guy. It's 3rd and 12. You got to get a first down. Dom's there. Hands of steel, comes down with it. I don't have anything bad to say about Dominic Blaylock. Nothing at all. I love this guy. I appreciate everything he's done to contribute to this team. He is an amazing talent. He struggled with injuries. He's had a hard time staying on the field. But when he's been on the field, he's been elite. And unfortunately, just like Jake mentioned, with how deep the wide receiver room is, Don Blaylock didn't get as much PT as he would somewhere else. And, I hope you get it, man, wherever you go. I'm not sure if it's been announced.
It's not. He has not announced where he's going yet.
Yeah. Wherever you go, man, I hope you're a number 1 receiver. I hope you get some draft looks. I hope you get a high draft pick because you deserve it. This dude's an absolute animal. He works hard. He plays hard. And he's clutch.
Yeah, talk about a guy you want to root for. Guy that's, suffered multiple pretty significant injuries in his college football career so far, and it hasn't really been a very long one. Best of luck wherever he goes, man. And who knows, maybe nothing intrigues him and he might, just walk right back to the University of Georgia. So that's what we can all hope to happen. But we will also see. And while we're on this conversation of guys that have not announced where they're going, I'm going to talk about the biggest recruit or the highest graded transfer that is leaving the University of Georgia. And this is a guy that was very, very highly graded in last year's recruiting class. And his name is Jaheim Singletary. This is a guy that a lot of people are expecting to kind of go down there to one of them Florida teams. I'm circling Florida State just because I feel like Florida State kind of owns the state of Florida right now. Florida State is on fire right now with transfer portal and recruiting. Miami is also pretty intriguing. They did steal a pretty big wide receiver from Alabama. I am thinking this guy is going to take his talents down somewhere in Florida. Obviously, not the Florida Gators because they cannot do anything right. But yeah, Jaheim Singletary is going to be a pretty big loss. I'm assuming that he has to know something because, Georgia is a place that cornerbacks can come to play and get drafted, relatively highly off success. Like, we're kind of a system that, goes like one door open, one door closes, another door opens. We see a guy leave, and then the guy that was behind him takes up that number one cornerback spot, and then another guy comes up. We saw it with Darion Kendrick and Keely Ringo. Darion was the number one guy. He leaves to the draft. Keely Ringo becomes the number one guy. And then Kamari Laster becomes that number two. Next year, I'm assuming Kamari Laster would become that number one, and then that spot opens up. But wait, Kenny, there's also another big transfer that Georgia got. Would you like to walk me into this conversation?
You're on a roll right now, Jake. Go ahead and rip
Smoke
into
Bowie. Smoke Bowie from Texas A&M is bringing his talents down to Georgia. Big time guy. This is one that me and Key were both very, very excited to get. Absolute lockdown type guy. We talk about a secondary that is losing guys like Keely Ringo, losing guys like Chris Smith, losing guys like I don't know about Tyke. I don't know if Tyke has another year left. We are losing significant talent in the secondary. Obviously, talk about Malachi Starks, Kamari Laster. These guys are going to come playing big roles. But there are spots that can be filled. And I am assuming that Smoke Bowie is going to fit right in. Javon Bullard, he's another guy that's going to be back. This secondary is going to be fantastic next year, guys. I am excited to watch it. I really think the strides Kamari Laster took last year really, put him into that, number one corner type role. Late in the season, you could say he outperformed Keely Ringo. And Smoke Bowie is just going to be another addition to this spot, man. Highly rated guy.
Smoke Bowie is incredible. I've seen this guy play in high school. He's a home state guy, Bainbridge boy.
Let's go.
Obviously, A&M guy. Started as a freshman. He's going to come in and make an immediate impact on this team. He is elite. He's an NFL corner. This dude is absolutely ridiculous. So I'm very, very excited about this guy.
Yeah, he's going to be awesome. I have one more Georgia guy I'm going to talk about right here. And this is a little bit of a questionable one. You can talk about whatever you want to after this, Kenny. I was going to mention this one. And that guy's Ra Thomas. Another guy that we were so excited to see come to University of Georgia. A big play guy at Mississippi State last year. That air raid offense really got to see him succeed. But as soon as he transfers or announces he's transferring to Georgia, he gets into a little bit of legal trouble. I'm not going to dive too much into it because I don't want to talk on stuff that I don't know much about, especially when it comes to stuff like this. But yeah, just keep your ears open on his situation. Hopefully we're not too harsh. Hopefully they can find some stuff out. And hopefully this stuff that happened, it just kind of goes back and find out it was just some rumors or something, for all I know. Like I said, I don't know the situation, so I'm not going to speak too much on it. But just keep your ears open on him. He does have a little bit of some legal issues going on right now.
Yeah. We don't know too much about what's going on, but hopefully we'll get some clarity pretty soon. Aside from the Georgia guys, I don't want to spend an hour talking about all these things. So, we'll run through here. I'll just mention a couple guys. We can talk about Jaheim Bell, who's the number one tight end in the class, going to Miami from South Carolina.
Florida State.
Florida State. I'm looking at Javion Cohen.
Yeah, Javion Cohen's a big guy for Miami. That's a really big ad for Miami.
You got Hudson Card going from Texas to Purdue. No shocker there. We knew that guy was going to leave. He's a good player.
Yep, really good player.
Who else we got here? We got obviously you talked about Jaheim Singletary, Ra Thomas. Who we got? Shedeur Sanders. I mentioned him at the beginning. This is a 35th ranked guy in the 247. But man, I don't want to hop on the Colorado hype train too much, but I'm a big believer in Shedeur Sanders. I'm somebody who is not too, how do you say, I don't weigh classification incredibly heavy on quarterback play. When I'm talking about how talented a guy is, it's something that I've been kind of, I don't know, it's been kind of consistent for me, man. In my opinion, you could talk about things. Obviously, we talk about Devin Leary, who's leaving NC State to come to Kentucky. Things are going to change there. You're playing, bigger, faster, physical players, but you also have bigger, faster, physical teammates. Like, things kind of the flow goes with you. But in my opinion, if you're a quarterback, you're standing back in the pocket, you can throw a football 45 yards down the field on a dime, put it in a breadbasket. I don't care if it's a 0-star receiver catching it or a 5-star receiver catching it. That's a hell of a throw.
No,
Um,
I agree.
and we've seen Shadur Sanders do that a million times. So I think this guy, I really don't expect him to skip a beat coming in here to Colorado, especially the Pac-12. The Pac-12 is for the most part pretty lackluster. It's really top heavy, like 2 or 3 teams are pretty elite, and then it's just doo doo. So I don't expect that to be too big of a problem for him. But to avoid hopping on that hype train, I think Shadur Sanders is going to be a really, really good player.
Yeah, I agree. I've always kind of looked at quarterbacks in one way only. A good ball is a good ball at any level. No matter what talent you're playing, if you drop a ball in the breadbasket, you're throwing a good ball. And Shadur Sanders definitely has that type of talent. He's a guy that was pretty highly recruited out of high school. Just because he played at Jackson State last year does not mean he is not a good player. Keep your eyes on this kid. That Colorado team is becoming pretty significant in the football world. I'm not going to say anything too much about them just yet because we haven't seen it produce on a football field. But I will say that they're definitely building a big name right now with Dion.
Absolutely. A couple other key guys before we get off this subject. We got DJ Uiagalelei from Clemson to Oregon State.
Mm-hmm.
Tanner Mordecai from SMU to Wisconsin. A big pickup for Wisconsin right here, in my opinion. We watched Tanner Mordecai become a really, really, really elite ball thrower at SMU. And nobody talks about SMU football, but this guy was great at SMU. I'm really excited about this guy. This is a guy that I would watch out for, people, if you are listening to this show. Brennan Armstrong from Virginia to NC State, taking over for Devin Leary.
I like that.
I'm interested to see how that works out. A guy that I loved and would have absolutely loved to pick up, even though I know who we have there and I know we're set, Justin Flo.
Mm-hmm.
This was, I believe, #1 inside linebacker in his recruiting class coming out of high school. Dude's a downhill, absolute animal. Transferring from Oregon to Arizona. I love this kid right here, man.
Yeah, Justin Flo's a stud.
Let's see. We got a couple more key guys before we get off here.
Old friend Arik Gilbert is teaming up with Jeff Sims and Matt Rule down in Nebraska. Matt Rule did a pretty good work at Nebraska this year in the transfer portal too.
He did, man. I'm excited for Matt Rule. That's pretty much it for me, man.
Yeah, I'm not seeing too many guys that really pop off the board right now. You mentioned Jeff Sims. Jeff Sims is a guy that's always pretty intriguing to me. He's a guy that's got a lot of play time at Georgia Tech. Get him into a different system. Maybe he can find something. Yeah, I don't really have anything else. Before we get off college football, though, I do want to mention, did you hear about the Jaden Rashada news?
Yes. Arizona State?
Arizona State, yep. A guy that was originally going to Miami, decommitted, apparently got offered a $13 million NIL deal to go to Florida. NIL deal did not come through. As soon as the news comes out, he's done. He's leaving Florida. He's requesting to them that he can redo his signing, and it happened, and now he's going to Arizona State. Florida is more of a dumpster fire under Billy Napier than it was with Dan Mullen and anybody before that. Look, guys, Dan Mullen just couldn't recruit. That was Dan Mullen's problem. He did not believe in recruiting. The difference is I don't think he ever tried. I think Billy Napier is trying, and he is not being very successful. This is a bad, bad sign for Florida. I will tell y'all this much right now. Y'all don't have a quarterback. Y'all didn't get a transfer quarterback. Your quarterback that was supposed to be starting next year got into some legal trouble. Some very, very bad legal trouble. I don't even know if I could mention it on YouTube. We'd probably get shut down for saying it out loud. But yeah, it's a mess down there, guys. You got to throw some Florida hate out there if we're on the college football topic.
No, and I hate it for Georgia fans too because Billy Napier. I don't know what it is about the guy, but I just don't hate him. I hate Florida. I hate everything about him. But one thing you could say about Dan Mullen is that he had a very hateable, punchable face. I hated that guy. When I saw him, I wanted to vomit. I didn't like anything about him. I wished his downfall every single day of my life, every breath that I took. And Unfortunately for us, but fortunately for the rivalry, the team was way better under Dan Mullen than it was right now. And look, I'm not one of these guys that's going to say when we go down to Jacksonville and stomp Florida by 30 that I'm not enjoying it. I enjoy every second of that. Please trust me. But it just makes it a little bit less interesting for the hate aspect of it. Like we can only hate Florida so much before they become Georgia Tech.
Or they become a Missouri or a Vanderbilt or something like that. It's a really a sad downfall. And you're right. I was never a big Dan Mullen fan, but we cannot deny this man was a year out from playing in an SEC championship against Alabama, and then got fired, and then things are going downhill really bad. The year that he played in the SEC championship against Alabama, they lost Kyle Trask to the draft. They lost Kadarius Toney to the draft. They lost Kyle Pitts to the draft. You had to expect some downfall. And for them to put that punishment on him, firing that man from the job a year removed from playing an SEC championship, just to bring in Billy Napier and see that, damn, something's wrong with our program. Guys do not want to play football here anymore. This is not the Tim Tebow days, guys. Florida has a lot to figure out. It's going to be years, and sadly for Billy Napier, I'm also a fan of Billy Napier. I think he's a pretty cool guy. I don't think Florida's going to give him enough time to figure it out. I would not be surprised if this is his last year at Florida.
I agree.
If they can pull the trigger that fast on Dan Mullen, I don't think they're going to treat Napier any different.
I agree 100%.
This is going to open the door for Urban to step right back in.
You ready to hop in the men's league here?
Let's get in the men's league. That was a joke by Urban, by the way. It's a joke.
Hold on. You know about the greatest coach in college football history, Urban Meyer?
Yes, Urban.
The greatest coach to ever grace the field of college and NFL football?
Yeah. Man that kicked his kicker while doing stretches. Yes, Urban Meyer.
He deserved it.
Yeah, probably he had to have. The guy that said, and this is no disrespect on Percy Harvin. It might be very, very true. The guy that came out and said that Percy Harvin was the greatest player he's ever coached after coaching Tim Tebow at University of Florida.
Oh, man. Yeah, I started to dive into the men's league a little bit, and then I heard that out of the back of my ear, and I was like, hold on. Urban Meyer.
Nothing goes better than men's league and Urban Meyer.
Nothing goes better. When you talk about a guy that can coach with one hand on the playbook and one hand inside a co-ed, it changes the way that you can it changes your perspective on a head coach. This guy was in a bar worrying about coaching a rookie quarterback and leading a team to the playoffs while simultaneously fondling with a 21-year-old woman.
That's an alpha.
Talk about an alpha person. And not to mention the best coach we have ever seen. I mean, what more can you say about Urban Meyer? This guy led a team to 2 national championships with a murderer, a racist, and a pastor.
That's very true.
What? We need an E60 on this guy tomorrow.
Yeah, got to get something put out. I'm sure there probably is already something put out about that Florida team. That Florida team was insane. If you don't know about that, go look it up. That Florida team had like 8 different guys that had like criminal charges on them.
It was terrible, led by Tim Tebow. It was, oh God, we can make so many jokes.
Urban Meyer, man, him and the NFL go together about as well as spoiled milk and Rice Krispie cereal. But guess what? We ain't got no damn sugar, so not very good.
Not the spoiled milk. Put a little sugar in that sucker; it'll taste a little bit better.
Now, I don't know if you ever ate Rice Krispies, the cereal. If you ain't got no sugar with normal milk, it ain't no good. You had the spoiled milk in there with no damn sugar. We messed up now. It's ruined.
You are messed up.
Sugar might be able to save that spoiled milk. Rice Krispies with sugar, pretty damn good. Without the sugar, nah, no shot.
I don't know if that 21-year-old girl was giving Urban Meyer enough sugar to save his NFL career.
No, definitely not. Off the rails, baby, off the rails.
Oh, all right, men's league. So, I mean, we talked about doing coaching hires. We are 47 minutes into this thing.
Yeah, we're pretty deep, man. We might save coaching hires to be. We have a whole off season, so
let's save it.
Yeah, we can save it. That's fine.
All right, NFL playoffs, Jake. Obviously, we are Pro Bowl week right now. 2 weeks out from the Super Bowl, or a week and a half at this point, I guess. We know who the matchup is. Do you want to dive into any NFL playoffs up until this point? Or do you just want like a quick little overview? What are you thinking here?
Well, we can do a quick conference championship rundown. I don't think any really, to me, outside the ones we've already talked about. I know we talked about what was it, Jacksonville. Well, actually, Jacksonville, Tennessee was regular season, wasn't it?
Yeah.
We've talked. I think we talked about the first round. To me, division round, there was nothing really too exciting. Nothing that really popped off the board too much that opened my eyes. So let's just do a little conference championship breakdown, then hop into Super Bowl.
I mean, it's pretty easy. In the divisional round, all the favorites won, aside
Mm-hmm.
from the Bills. The Bills were the 2 seed. They lost to the 3 seed. Other than that, Chiefs beat the Jags, Eagles beat the Giants, Niners beat the Cowboys. So,
And the Bills one was not anything crazy. It's
right,
something it was a 50-50 shot going into game. Like we kind of had an idea.
exactly. So heading into conference championship weekend, we had the Philadelphia Eagles taking on the San Francisco 49ers at home. We had the Kansas City Chiefs taking on the Cincinnati Bengals at home in Burrowhead Stadium. If you missed all the Kansas City Cincinnati banter, Bengals fans were talking a lot of smack leading up to this game. The mayor of Cincinnati put out an order and a video saying that he was ordering a paternity test to see if Joe Burrow was Patrick Mahomes' daddy.
That's awesome. I saw that.
And they were going to change the name of Arrowhead Stadium to Burrowhead Stadium. So that was pretty bold. Not sure why you would do that at all, but it is what it is. It's the NFL. These guys are elite athletes, and you want to talk some smack. Let's talk Eagles Niners.
Let's do it.
Philadelphia Eagles coming here as the hottest team in the NFL. Obviously, these 4 teams right here in the conference championship round are the 4 hottest teams. But you talk about winning wise, I mean, there's 16-3 total, including the playoffs after this game. The Philadelphia Eagles are. You got Jalen Hurts, who 2 of those losses are when he was out with an injury. This team has been absolutely ridiculous all year long. The defense is like number 2 in the league. The offense is number 1 in the league. They are such a well-rounded team, well coached. They have an amazing roster. Like everything, this team, they can attack you from so many different angles, on the ground, through the air. And then you could say the same thing about the San Francisco 49ers, who found their second life with Brock Purdy.
Yes.
Trey Lance goes down week 2, season's over. Jimmy G comes in, gets injured, season's over. Brock Purdy comes in, hold on, this dude wins 7 straight, 8 straight, whatever it is. Leads the NFL in touchdown passes and efficiency since taking over as a starting quarterback. And people are starting to say, hold on, forget about Trey Lance, forget about Jimmy Garoppolo. Brock Purdy's the guy. Me
That's
included.
funny. I think the week after that Brock Purdy made his debut in the NFL, I think that we did a podcast. And if I remember right, I think I made a comment saying that he had a good outing, the kid looked good, but, and it was a big but after this season, we'll probably never hear from this guy again. And I think I was wrong on that aspect. Now, some things happened in this game that could shake things up quite a bit. Brock Purdy went down with injury. Looked like a serious injury. Obviously, Jimmy G's hurt right now. He was, kind of rumored that he might have a chance to come back this week. Trey Lance is down for the season. Brock Purdy and Josh Johnson, the only 2 quarterbacks on this roster. Brock Purdy goes down with an injury. Josh Johnson comes in, plays decent, 7 for 13, 74 yards. Doesn't play bad. But he does take a big hit. And it didn't look like a huge hit thing. I think the ground kind of hit him harder, and that's what messed him up. It looked like he was concussed. I never saw the injury thing from it, but it looked like a concussion to me. That forces San Francisco to have to make a decision. And Brock Purdy comes trotting back on the football field. And you're thinking, okay, can Brock Purdy play? Now, keep in mind, this game's pretty much already over at this point. Philadelphia already has a pretty sizable lead right there. But you're sitting there thinking, Brock Purdy, has been, top tier quarterback in the NFL since he has started playing in the NFL. Comes back in, and he does not do a damn thing the whole rest of the game. San Francisco is conceding this football game. If they're not doing anything on the ground, they're not doing anything. I think that he threw 2 passes before he got hurt. He came back, he threw 2 passes after he got hurt, and I think they were both screen passes. So They were not testing him out. Obviously, it's kind of hard to really dive in this game. It was such a, it was a butt kicking. Philadelphia wins 31-7. Most of that work is on the ground. Didn't really have to try the air too much. They kind of just bullied him the whole game. But the significance behind this is there's a lot of people on social media saying how come San Francisco was so, conservative late in the game. And the reason behind that is because Brock Purdy has to get Tommy John surgery now. Brock Purdy, what was it? UCL or something?
Yeah, torn UCL.
Brock Purdy tore his UCL and came back in and played quarterback for damn near half of football. An injury that is at least a 9-month recovery.
Through 2 passes.
Through 2 passes with a torn UCL. Legendary move right there.
Dog.
Yeah, dog. Makes sense that he was out there. Me and Kenny were eating dinner for a birthday whenever this game was on, and we got to see Christian McCaffrey throw one of the funnier passes you'll see in the NFL. Kind of just chunked one up, and I did not see a guy on the screen where the ball went. So he wanted to make a play. Yeah, this game was over as soon as pretty much from the start, guys. This Eagles team is very, very, very legit. We talk about Devontae Smith, AJ Brown, and Jalen Hurts. It's kind of their big three. But when you have those weapons in the air, and you also have Kenneth Gainwell, Miles Sanders, Boston Scott, and Jalen Hurts running down your throat, this team can open up a lot of avenues on you. And this defense is real. So, and that team right there is a very legit football team.
Very, very good. And you covered it pretty well there. I'm not going to dive too much into it, but I will say that if you watch this game, this was one of the worst officiated NFL games of all time. Much like the next game we're going to talk about. The officiating was absolutely horrendous this weekend. I don't know what it was about conference championship weekend, but and let's give credit where it's due, right? All right. Being an NFL ref is probably one of the hardest jobs in the entire world as far as being good at it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're running around, you're trying to keep up with the best athletes in the entire world. You're looking at 22 guys on the field at the same time and trying to make sure nobody does anything they're not supposed to. Like, I understand that is extremely difficult. So I'm not as worried about the missed calls. Everybody wants to complain about missed calls in the game, and that's not so much this game, but the next game. So I'll kind of spare you until we get there. But this game, man, I mean, you talk about a roughing the kicker call that was called incorrectly. You talk about hold that shouldn't have been called. It's just it's a really, really weird dynamic going on right now in the NFL, and this game is really what just kicked it off because this game was such a blowout that it didn't really the argument wasn't really there. No one really cared that much about it. But when you talk about the next game, the Chiefs-Bengals game that happened at 6:30 p.m. on a Sunday night that everyone in the entire world was watching, and they got to see that same officiating happen again, it's like, what is going on?
Yeah, it was a crazy weekend.
I don't understand, man. They got to figure something out.
Yeah.
But, go ahead, Jake.
In this game right here, to me, I mean, it didn't really matter as much. I'm going to be completely honest. Even if Brock Purdy plays this complete game, I don't think Philadelphia stands a chance. Not Philadelphia.